Hello everyone and welcome to a brief tutorial on Google Chat. My name is Frankie Indalecio and I am an instructional coach with the elementary schools. To start you off, you can think of Google Chat similarly to WhatsApp. So when we think of WhatsApp, we use it to send text messages to other people. We do it individually. We do it with groups of people, and we can imagine we have so many different types of groups in our WhatsApp. We also send images, we send posters of quotations, we send video clips, we send audio files. It's basically our way of communicating with other people, except for meeting purposes. But we do quick exchanges for the most part using WhatsApp. And for quite some time, I've been wondering about how we use WhatsApp so much in our work and not so much in our personal life. If I were to look at the two, I would say that my WhatsApp is probably filled more with work related content. This will obviously differ from person to person. If you don't use WhatsApp heavily for work related matters and you have another means, then this may have the similar impact with Google Chat. For those of you who do use WhatsApp a lot for work, this will be a great way to kind of look at as an alternative to using WhatsApp. So I'm thinking maybe I can slowly start to migrate all of my work related matters over to Google Chat and keep my personal life on the WhatsApp and have basically those two separated. Kind of like how we have our GDOE email and then we have our own personal email. And so with that, I would like to share with you today some basic functions of Google Chat. And this is also available in the Google Play Store for Android devices, as well as the Apple Store for Mac devices. And so what I'm going to do is what you see in front of you is my Gmail inbox, and I'm going to click on the waffle. And from the waffle, I am going to search for among all the Google Suite applications. I'm going to click on the chat application, and this will open up a new window or a new tab. And with Google Chat, you're basically taken into the main page. And because I'm already logged into my Gmail, I don't need to log in to Google Chat. It's already there. On the left side, if I can draw your attention here, you will find that there's kind of like a status, a notification here that I'm active. If I click on this, I can mute notifications until 30 minutes later. This will probably come in handy if, for example, I'm getting ready to get into a meeting for the next 15 minutes. And so I want to mute all my Google Chat notifications until 30 minutes from now or an hour from now. That's an option for you. And then below this, you'll have kind of like a search box. And inside it says to find people, rooms, or bots. And this tutorial will not be covering information on bots. That probably would require a separate tutorial. But just to give you a quick snapshot of bots, it's basically a way to have automated messages pop up whenever there's communication going on so that you wouldn't have to do it. So if I click on this box here, it says person, room, or bot. So I can actually type someone's name to send them a text message. Or I can type more than one person. And so, for example, if I type in my buddy Chris name, it pops up on the GDOE directory, and I can easily select that. And what that will do is, if I select Chris's name, it kind of brings me to a conversation that I already had with Chris. So we can see here there's some history of Chris and I exchanging text messages using Google Chat. And so over here, right underneath the search box, it says chat. And it does show me kind of like some recent history of people that I have sent text messages to. So I can also quickly access that from here instead of typing their name in. I'll get to rooms in a minute. Let me just go ahead and continue on with this search box in here. Let me click back in there. So again, earlier you had seen me type Chris's name. I can certainly type in other names. And then there's some options below. And so we have here the first one, it says group message. If you are familiar with WhatsApp, group message is similar to broadcasting a message. And if you haven't used the broadcasting function, it's kind of like sending out a message to multiple people, but you don't want to create a group for them. So maybe it's kind of like something that's happening just for today. Maybe you don't need a group. I mean, you can certainly create a group if you want, but this is intended for you to kind of send out a message to multiple people. So if I click on group message, I can start typing in names of people in here, and then it would establish a group that I can send out a message to. But I'm not going to do that, so let me click on this X. Now I have to keep clicking on this in order to bring that drop down window, so I'm going to click on it again. And the next one, it says create room. Similarly to WhatsApp, creating a room is kind of like creating that group. And for many of you out there, you probably have created groups in WhatsApp, like your leadership team, your grade level, your department, maybe your social studies department, whatever it may be. You can create rooms in there, and then you can browse rooms. And these are pretty much the three that I just wanted to touch on today. And so if I were to go to create room, what does this look like? So when I click on it, it says create room, and here's where I can establish a room name. So again, this is just like creating a group in WhatsApp. I'm creating a room in Google Chat. And what I did notice is if you create a room, I haven't figured out a way to delete the room. Not like in WhatsApp, we can delete the group if we don't want it anymore. Here in Google Chat, there is a way though to step away from the room, and I'll show that to you in a minute. So let me just practice creating a room, and we'll call this practice number 1, or practice room number 1. Okay. And so this is just a name. That's it. So when I create it, all I'm doing is creating the room, giving it a name, and here it is. I'm in my room, and it's called practice room number 1. And it says that there's only one member in here, and this drop down arrow gives me some kind of functions to use within this room. Okay, you can play with that later. So here it is. It says practice room number 1. You created this room today. And then this blue button here allows you to add people to the room, or bots, which again we're not covering today, but you can add people to this room. So if I click on that, I'll be able to type in names and add people in there. Okay, now looking back on the left side under rooms, this is under the chat group, right? Remember earlier I had shared that with chat, these are kind of recent contacts where I've sent messages to. And then underneath this group, it's called rooms. And here are the rooms that I've created. And so right now you see 4. And on the top, it says now, or now it's a minute ago, practice room number 1. It shows you that it was created. So I can click on these different rooms here to send out whatever exchange messages I needed to do. Now, unfortunately, when you look on the right side of this, it has the 3 dots, kind of like a snowman. I really thought that when I click on this, I would be able to delete the room. However, when you click on it, the only 3 options you have are to click a star to kind of highlight this room. You can turn off the notifications. Maybe this is a great thing for, especially if you're the kind of person that prefers to not have any exchanges during certain times. You can turn off the notifications and then turn it back on at a later time when you want to. It's kind of similarly to this active status here where you can turn it off for 30 minutes or you can turn it off for an hour, 2 hours. This one is just to turn it off until you decide to turn it on. Then you can also leave the room. Now, this is probably as close as you can get to deleting the room, except you're not really deleting it, you're just kind of exiting. So I'm going to click on Leave Room. And it says Leave Practice Room 1. You won't receive updates. So when this group has message exchanges, I won't be able to see that because I left the room. So I'm going to leave the room. And you'll see here in my listing, it's gone. Now, if I want to go back to that room, I would have to go back to the top. And now here's where I could use the browse room functions. And there is one room that I can browse that I left. So any room that I leave, it will all be listed here. And so right now, here's 2 rooms that I left. This one is kind of something I was trying to play with. Over here is what I just created today, and then I just left it. So I can go back in if I want by clicking on the plus. Then it'll allow me to bring it. I can open it from here, or I can say, no, I'll go into the room later. And I'll notice that it's back in my listing of rooms. So this is a really cool way to kind of manage your groups. Now, I wanted to go in further looking at this room. So this says practice room 1. Now, let's imagine that this room is, let's say it's the leadership team, for example. Now, if you have a group chat in WhatsApp called leadership team, you probably don't have just one single discussion going on. There's probably so many different things going on within that group chat. And one of the cool features that I noticed with rooms here in the Google chat is on the very bottom, it says new thread in this practice room number 1. Now, if I click on this, what it does is it allows me to create kind of like a space, if you will. And all the conversation that takes place will happen within that same space. So, if this is the leadership room and you got, let's say the principal is talking, let's say the principal is part of this group and they're talking about, let's say, norms, establishing norms with the leadership team, right? So maybe, we can have a conversation here and say, let's review and update our norms. Okay, so now what I've done was I've started a thread on this specific topic about norms. And then maybe in this leadership chat, someone else chimes in and they don't necessarily chime in regarding norms. They talk about something else like, oh, I want to ask about, let's see, grade level expectations, right? From grade level chairs, maybe. So I'm going to start a new thread and I'm going to phrase it as a question. What are the expectations of our grade level chairpersons, or maybe department chairs, or I think they call them DCs in secondary for this school year, right? So now what's happening here is I have 2 different threads going on, 2 different conversations, but within the same room. Now, I'm sure many of you have experienced this in your WhatsApp, in group chat. You got different conversations going on, but I kind of all just lay out one by one through a timestamp. Whatever is next is laid out there, and so we're having to like kind of scroll. Oh, what did the other teachers say about the expectations for the grade level? Oh wait, I need to check. They were talking about norms, and we're having to scroll up and down looking for that in WhatsApp. In the Google chat room, it's segregated here into threads. And so if I were to reply here, for example, let's review and update our norms. This is a great idea. Can we meet sometime soon? Now, when I reply to that, it stays within the thread of this first message about norms. Over here, I can message this and it'll stay within the thread regarding this conversation. So we have conversation A going on here and conversation B. And so I thought this is a really cool way to kind of organize the exchanges that are going on back and forth. Okay. So in addition to that, obviously you can see here I have this activated on the far right. There are some additional functions. You can add an emoji. You can upload a file. You can attach a file from Google Drive. And whoa, what is this? This is the Google Meet icon. So we can actually take this conversation and jump into a meeting with the people in this room and just let everybody know, hey, I jumped onto the Google Meet. And if everybody wants to, see each other and have a further conversation beyond just sending text messages, then that's another option for them to do so. Okay, so that brings my basic tutorial on Google Chats to a close for today. I want to thank you very much for your time, and I'm hoping that one day we can soon get most, if not all, GDOE employees to migrate over to Google Chat. It is a free function. It is available on our devices if we need it to be, and we can separate it from WhatsApp and actually limit the storage capacity that our work is consuming on our personal devices. And so with that, again, thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.